But I just want to play a little bit of the speech. I don't want to play too much of it because you can watch it yourself. But there's one thing that really got to me. Here's cut 12.
I'm in Philadelphia, where our Constitution was drafted and signed. It wasn't a perfect document. It allowed for the inhumanity of slavery and failed to guarantee women, and even men who didn't own property, the right to participate in the political process. But embedded in this document was a North Star that would guide future generations. A system of representative government, a democracy, through which we could better realize our highest ideals.
What a jerk. The guy's a jerk. I mean, first of all, every part of that it's not exactly untrue. It's just completely without context. I mean, it was the most liberal governing document of its time. The only thing like it that had ever been written. It was one of the shining stars of the Enlightenment of European culture, which was the greatest culture that ever existed on Earth. You know, he talks about its imperfections, that it allowed slavery. Absolutely true. That's fair. But that it didn't allow women and people without property to vote, as opposed to whom? Who is he talking about? It was the most free, most self-governing document, really, of its kind ever written. And the North Star in it was not democracy. It was liberty. It was not democracy. And the way you can tell the difference is what he said about the people rioting. This is cut 19.
To the young people who led us this summer, telling us we need to be better, in so many ways, you are this country's dreams fulfilled. Earlier generations had to be persuaded that everyone has equal worth. For you, it's a given, a conviction. And what I want you to know is that for all its messiness and frustrations, your system of self-government can be harnessed to help you realize those convictions.
He's talking to people who are looting stores, burning down, city government buildings. He's talking to people who have beaten people unconscious. He's talking to rioters and looters and telling them that they are the realization of democracy. And you know what? He's absolutely right. That's what democracy looks like. It's not what a democratic republic looks like, which looks like the rule of law where the majority has a voice and where there are systems to channel people's votes into political power. It is not an expression of democratic power to terrorize an entire city like Portland has been terrorized for months on end. And this is the problem. This is their idea of democracy is you go out and you terrorize people until they kowtow to you and we get all the power. That funnels all the power to us. Trump's response to this, by the way, I love his response to this because it's absolutely true. Barack Obama was an incompetent. He wasn't just corrupt in the sense that he did unconstitutional things, in the sense that he silenced Tea Party voters by using the IRS, in the sense that he used the State Department to lie about his malfeasance in Benghazi, in the sense that he used the Justice Department to spy on an opponent's campaign, which is just an incredible breach of constitutional governance and ethics, which if Donald Trump had done anything like that, it would be all the news all the time instead of the fake story that it generated, which is still news. They're still trying to sell this grassy knoll of a conspiracy theory about Donald Trump. Trump's response was absolutely right. This is cut 1.
When I listen to that and then I see the horror that he's left us, the stupidity of the transactions that he made. Look what we're doing. We have our great border wall. We have security. We have the UAE deal, which has been universally praised by people that aren't exactly fans of Donald Trump for various reasons. I don't know why. It can't be my personality, but they're not fans, right? And when I look at what we have, and I look at how bad he was, how ineffective a president he was so ineffective, so terrible, slowest growing recovery in the history, I guess, since 1929 on the economy. Don't forget, until the China virus came in, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world. And now we're doing it again. I'm going to have to do it a second time. We're doing it again.
Absolutely fair. And, this is the thing. when Obama was elected, a conservative friend of mine who hated Obama, I was hoping for the best. What was the point of not hoping for the best? But a conservative friend of mine said, the worst thing about this is because there's been such a terrible financial crash, the economy will come bouncing back. That's what it does. It comes bouncing back, and he will be given credit for that bounce. And essentially, he sat on that bounce which should have been the recovery that Donald Trump engineered when he came into office. It should have been that recovery. Instead, it was this slow recovery with fake unemployment numbers because so many people dropped out of the employment lines that they didn't get counted anymore. So many people joined the gig economy, which was not the same thing as the kind of employment that Trump has been engineering. So it was a really crappy recovery that Obama stomped on with regulations and with Obamacare and with all the bad deals he did. And overseas, when Trump talks about that UAE deal, the Israeli peace deal with the UAE, which now may become a peace deal with the Sudan, which could lead to really widespread recognition of Israel. What was Obama doing? And this was something that happened the other night at the convention where John Kerry, the worst Secretary of State in history, got up and said, "Oh, they did so badly." It used to be that journalism was a field that people got into if they didn't have a college education, but they were smart, but they could write. It's a lot of working class guys used to be reporters. Once being a reporter became professionalized, once there were journalism schools, once there were journalism classes at schools, then it became something that upper class people did. Upper class people are the power. And so they report on who serves their power positively. And the way they report on Obama, let's just take the networks. Here's a montage of the networks reacting to Obama's speech. Talk about an O-face. This is cut 6.
He took his shots at Donald Trump, but mostly this was a speech about democracy.
And what a setting. In Philadelphia, the city of our founding, the 1776 Declaration of Independence, the museum that holds those documents, there he was saying in the starkest terms, do not let them take away your democracy.
And the unprecedented attack by Barack Obama on his predecessor is something that he had resisted doing until John Lewis's funeral, but he really came out tonight against Donald Trump. Pretty amazing, but he said democracy is at stake.
Barely restrained passion there from Barack Obama, calling on a new generation of Americans to echo the ancestors who made our democracy work.
It will be eloquent, but it'll also have edge. I remember the night that he accepted the nomination from the party, what that said to my mother, a black woman. I think now this historic night, his presence, what it says about his tenure, but also what it potentially says about Kamala Harris and what that says about America.
This was a speech about Donald Trump and the fact that what he is doing is going to tear democracy apart.
Now, I don't want to play too much more of that because that incisive look, that really digging deep into the meaning of the speech and the fact checking, it's just going to overwhelm you with, wisdom. And I don't want the wisdom to come pouring out of your ears and to make those who are less wise look bad. So I'm not going to play too much of the network's just incisive, down deep digging into the meaning of that speech. It's this O-face that the press gives Obama that reminds us of how bad their coverage is and how dishonest it is and how much we are living in a gaslight nation at this point.